5 seconds remaining.
PSG LGD's turn to ban.
Seconds remaining.
Hello everyone, welcome to the draft panel of the grand finals of TI10. I have here with me Seb and No-Tail. And I just want to start off with a question. I mean, Team Spirit, they've had this amazing run, they have a lot of momentum, but LGD, they've seen more Team Spirit's games. Which ones would you guys prefer going into the finals?
When LGD need to get something done, because if not that, they lose. This is like their main team fighting tools.
And now we're about to start the game, and we're going to have an interview with the coach of Team Spirit Silent, along with Sumi.
那我走。
好好打，好好打，
Smells
送我兄弟们。
like Team Spirit.
Это что за слова такие?
Smells like Team Spirit.
你这么菜，你的队友不会生气吧，哥哥？
Thank you very much, Sumi. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the grand finals of the International 10. Team Spirit up against PSG LGD Insania. It's a pleasure to have you by my side once again. How excited are you to see these two teams go head-to-head in this best of 5?
I mean, I'm extremely excited. This is bringing back memories of TI6, where you had DC make the miracle run in the lower bracket and going up against Wings at the time, and you have some of the Wings players on LGD's side. So I'm feeling TI6 vibes, and I think this Game 1 draft actually looks really, really good for Spirit.
Okay, what is it in particular you like about what they've done here in this first game?
I mean, I feel like, as No-Tail and Seb touched on, the way that the lanes are set up, I feel like they're going to have a really nice start to the game. And I feel like LGD is like really, really timing dependent. And they need to make sure that when they pop roll and they use the wolf fight on Ursa, they get a lot in the fights. And when I look at Spirit's draft, I see answers. They have the sleep, they have like 10 different stuns that they can throw out, and even if they burn the Ravage, I feel like the 4-man of their draft can still fight. So if they can get the Naga fat enough, if the Naga can ever join the fights and actually have a presence, I think their draft looks really, really nice to play.
And it's, you know, you've got to be excited to see it, right? Another game, Yatoro just continuing to show off his versatility of carry heroes. This is crazy here. Here in the grand finals, Naga Siren coming out. I mean, when you've seen how the man can play on all the list of heroes that he's pulled out so far, there's no reason to doubt that he can't pull out a top tier performance on any of the carries available in the game.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, he's shown that he can play pretty much every single hero in the game. I've been so impressed by it, and the crazy thing is how flexible he is too, and playing like he can play hard carry one game and then the next game he's playing tempo, and this has led to, I think, Spirit having like the versatility in their draft and the ability to adapt the way they have throughout the tournament is, in my opinion, in large part because he's so versatile in his playstyle.
Yeah, I mean, as sort of a drafter, you know, when you come into a series or against Team Spirit, what do you do about the fact that they have sort of this special power in Yatoro's sort of hero pool, right? Do you just sort of ignore the carry? Do you still bother banning them out, or do you look elsewhere? Like, what is the best way to tackle this team?
I mean, if I knew the answer, I'd would have probably known how to beat them by now. But I feel like the thing is they just seem to... You deal with Collapse, then Yatoro goes out of control. You aim for Yatoro, and then you have Collapse and Toronto Tokyo going out of control. And I feel like a lot of this is heavily due to the fact that they play so well around vision. When I looked at the teams throughout the tournament, I feel like what Spirit has done that no other team does nearly as well as them, and I would even bring LGD into that category, is they control vision. They're really good about playing around wards. They understand when they can fight into wards, and they understand when they have to avoid it. So I think for Team Spirit, this game is going to be a lot about can they deward LGD, remove LGD's information, and have more information to play with.
Sure. And for PSG LGD, of course, they've managed to charge their way straight to the finals through the upper bracket. When you look at what they've got here in this first game, what is it about this lineup that works sort of with the play style that they've been able to just destroy teams in their run up to the grand finals?
I mean, this looks very similar to their Tiny sort of draft fight. You're going to have this one core that's going to be unbeatable. They have this mid laner that's going to provide control and lockdown for them so that he's going to be able to output damage. You have the glimpse to bring people back to the Ursa. So the concept for LGD is very much like, we're going to hit our timing, and once we do, you cannot touch us. And I think for Spirit, the problem will be if LGD is allowed to freely just get to their timings, get that Aegis on the Ursa, where they can start ignoring the Tide Ravage or even fighting without the Wolf Bite from the Lycan, that's when they're going to be at their strongest. So I'm expecting all hell to break loose after the laning phase.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see it. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, finally getting into the action of Game 1 beginning between Team Spirit and PSG LGD. Let's see if that chaos starts coming quick and fast. We know that both teams are very much able to bring it for some of the fantastic performances they've given us so far on the main stage.
Yeah, and straight away Yatoro's coming out with a really smart play. He sends his illusions within the tower range, but he puts them in an area where the tower doesn't have vision, and by doing that he will scout out the ward immediately from LGD. And this is what I mean, right? Spirit are so on top of all of the small things that will give them any sort of information advantage, where they will have more vision than their opponents.
Let's see if they're able to maintain it throughout the early stages of the game, where it's very likely for those movements to be coming from lane to lane. See both teams avoid one another here for the bounty runes. Bit of a poke onto Miposhka as Yatoro will still be able to grab that bounty rune. In fact, as you can see, 3 bounty runes to start things off here for Spirit, so a bit of a cash bonus to begin the lanes with.
Yeah, and that was nicely scouted out with ET. They find the information of where and how many heroes has LGD brought to which runes, and then they can split up their heroes accordingly and make sure that they get the advantage on the runes.
Let's look at some of these matchups. The mid lane, Pango versus Void Spirit, Toronto Tokyo versus Nothing to Say. What are we going to have going on here in the early few waves?
I think most likely it's going to be a pretty farm heavy lane. I don't think really either of the two heroes are going to aim to kill each other. There's going to be a lot of trying to push out the waves, control the runes, and then around 6 minutes when the real rune spawns, that's when you'll see both the supports collapse on a mid lane, because I think both Pango and Void Spirit really rely on that rune control.
And looking at both sort of the side lanes, the 2 carries, Arme and Yatoro, who's going to have the easier time?
I think if you take a look at top lane, you see Ursa against Tidehunter, generally a pretty good lane matchup because you think of how the Fury Swipes stack up on him, and they have the sustain to tank the harassment that's coming out from Team Spirit. So I think as they level up on the top lane, I imagine the Wisp Ursa will do fairly well up top. But with that said, I think Collapse is still going to have a decent game.
I mean, Collapse has definitely been that solid rock of a player for Spirit time after time. He's been the one that they have, been very happy to give that prioritization, get his game into a good shape so that he can be the one to lead the charge into the team fights and start the action off for Spirit in those mid-game.
Yeah, absolutely. And bottom lane, Yatoro's kind of playing this type of laning where you're not going to be pressured at all. Team LGD's priority here is just trying to get their Lycan farmed and make sure that they're like playing for their own farm. So Yatoro's going to have a great start, and he has the ability to farm up the jungle because he has the illusions that can both push out the wave and farm the jungle camp. So I expect Yatoro to be leading the net worth charts as soon as we get into around the 5-minute mark of the game.
One of the reasons why Yatoro has been as scared as he can, even if the lane was a tough one, he always seems to be able to recover. So the fact that he's going to have a decent time to start off things, you know that he will be on track to hit some pretty insane CS. It really is going to be completely down to how much PSG LGD can find in terms of getting their Ursa involved in the kills early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just some trade-offs going on, but you can tell already from the net worth graphs that Team Spirit has set up their lanes to have very good farm on all 3 of their cores.
Certainly showing so far here on the early CS. Both side lane cores for PSG LGD just struggling a slightly bit more. It was very early days though.
But a lot of levels coming in LGD's way. Like, this Lycan is doing surprisingly fine. He's not really getting pressured that much by the Naga and the ET because he's managed to get the lane control. Yatoro's shoved out the wave, but Miposhka yet hasn't been able to get a pull to get the lane control back. So the Lycan's getting a lot of farm while Y is able to just rotate around, moves to the mid lane, opens up the small camp. And like we talked about, right, the middle lane is going to be contested in terms of like who can push out the wave the most and then go farm the small camp. And Y on top of it runs over, unblocks his mid laner small camp to make sure that he can stay even with the Void Spirit.
And when you look at sort of the tools they have available both sides with their supports, do you imagine once the 6 is there for the mids, we're going to have sort of a collapse on the mid lane to try and get the early objective, or do you think it's going to be all about reacting to the side lane fights here for the Pango and the Void Spirit? I
think it's going to be important to get the rune. Like, whoever gets the first power rune of the game is going to kind of get to decide what happens. You get your bottle refilled, but you also have the ability to make a rotation as Mira.
Could be in a bit of trouble here. We'll try and hold back the bear with the X. He's got the stick charges, but he's getting run down here by Arme. One more hit will do it. Can he close the gap? He can't. Oh, stun misses. That's going to cost him his life. Not the start there that Mira was hoping to have here in the grand finals. A whiffed ability, and that'll give it first blood to PSG LGD.
Yeah, and Collapse isn't out of the woods quite yet. Arme's hungry.
In a bit of an awkward position now, Collapse. Stuck behind the tree line. We'll see how he gets his way out of it. He does have a TP, a little short in the mana. He'll have it back up now. Should be able to walk his way back ground, but a great bit of aggression there from PSG LGD, just opening up some space for Arme to return to farming.
Yeah, absolutely. And you notice that LGD are keeping the lane control up top, so this is tied under constant pressure, and you never know when they might make some sort of move in the lane. Well, if you look at Y, you notice that he's just rotating around constantly. He has the freedom to move wherever he wants on the map, because the lane is so pushed out by the way that the Naga plays, and the Riptide shoving out the creeps. So the Lycan can freely farm under his tower, and the Disruptor has the freedom to decide what he wants to do.
Let's see what that call's going to be. We'll come in mid here. Toronto Tokyo taking a bit of harassment on the Thunder Strike, nothing to say. Stepping right up to him, there's a remnant of the
damage of Resonant Pulse to bottle up to make sure that he's not within the kill range of the Swashbuckle from Pango.
Attack.
From PSG LGD. So to be very cautious in that mid lane as early as it is, just 5 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you think about Elder Titan, you kind of think of him as a lane dominant here. Both Notail and Seb touched on it, right? You want to abuse the fact that LGD have the Naga lane constantly being shoved into the Lycan's tower. The Elder Titan hasn't really his presence.
Oh, look at this now, there we have it. Nice bit of micro from Faith Beyond, that'll grab himself a free courier. The Wolves chase down poor old.
Up top, Collapse is also taking pressure now. So again, the freedom of Y, he's just allowed to take to mid, set up some pressure on the Void Spirit. Now he's up top, making sure he's just in their face and forcing them to react to his movement.
Yeah, he's all over the place, Y.
Yep.
Spirit, definitely got to try and do something in return. Yeah, they themselves bring the two supports up to top. Just sort of figuring out what to do about this roaming Disruptor here in the early minutes of the match.
Yep, here we go. First fight for the runes. Where is it going to spawn, top or bottom?
Let's have a look. It is going to be down bottom, and it is a DD. It's going to go straight into the bottom of Toronto Tokyo. So a very nice room for it to fight with, but already up top. Spirit, they'll lose Mira.
Yeah, it's a DD Toronto Tokyo though. Let's see how he can respond back with it, because now you have a Pangolier with low mana, and he's going to be aware of it. So he knows that he can make a move here, and the Pangolier won't really be able to respond.
Yeah, this is an excellent room for Toronto Tokyo to find it. He's already straight away. Goes aggressive. It's going to miss the Dissimulate though. A couple of hits. He's not going to be able to get the second hit in. Nothing to say. Steps up. I mean, that would have been such a big kill for him to find. He got the get the job done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate, but it's the will to chase him down.
Yeah, he's still got this DD going for a few seconds. Why? Living on the edge a little bit. Yeah. Toronto Tokyo feels that he can get in with the Astral Step. But why knows? He's keeping his distance.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the net worth, you see Yatoro. He's just going to start accelerating his farm even more, but I'm impressed by how well the Ursa's been able to keep up. This is largely due to the fact that they had lane control for so long up in the top lane, and they were able to just keep their heroes, the enemy heroes, so close to the tower, so Titan could never really feel free.
He's going to try and step over for Mira, but again, Team Spirit, they've kept their two supports up here, both Mira and Maposhka, making sure that there's never the opportunity for Arme to get any kills up here right now. As you say, Arme doesn't care too much, complete free farm, level with that of Yatoro's Naga Siren. He's having no struggles whatsoever, but Spirit just trying their best to limit anything else going into the hands of the Ursa this early.
Yeah, and you notice the Naga in the bottom lane now. She's just going to put her illusions on the lane, push out the waves, while she farms the jungle camps close by, and try to get ahead of the Ursa by doing this constantly. And LGD are going to try to match by using the Wisp Overcharge to allow the Ursa to farm. And we notice both these teams are so good at stacking, and here we go again. Runes are spawning.
And Toronto Tokyo is going to be the focus. Quick jump away from the Rolling Thunder.
Yes, it's an Arcane Rune secured though, so if they can manage to survive these 70 seconds and nothing too bad happens, this is a huge rune for them to have.
All about these power runes early on, especially in a game, 8 minutes in, only the 2 kills so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's the tension, right? Neither team really has anything to do yet, and they're both drafting for slightly later timings in the game. The Tidehunters now finally hit level 6, so if there's an opening, look for some sort of rotation. I think it's hard to go for the Ursa, so there might even be the possibility of the Tidehunter rotating out of this lane and making some sort of move with Toronto Tokyo.
When you just look at the heroes that PSG have at their disposal and you feel that Spirit, they're just not going to want to try and push into that tier 1 quite yet.
I think for Spirit, your expectation was to do slightly better in the lanes, but they haven't really been able to do so.
See, it's alright. Getting gone on here by the two of them, but the Rolling Thunder not...
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication there, it seems. The shield crash wasn't used on the hero. The glimpse came in a little bit later.
And they've got their eyes on Arme. As they know, that play was made by a couple of PSG LGD inside their own jungle, but Arme, he's out of reach of the Remnant, he's away, space is there, down bottom, Fate Beyond continues to push, the tier 1 to fall already here on Spirit's side of the map.
Yeah, I think this is the most shocking part of this early game, because I expected the Lycan kind of get zoned out by the Naga, and the Naga Illusions to defend them, but...
Let's see if they can get Arme. They've got 4 heroes working on him right now.
Ravage.
He has the ult up, he's on the retreat up to the high ground, but they'll be able to get in front of him, close off his escape. Spirit will finally be able to claim their first kill here in the first 10 minutes, getting themselves on the board.
Yeah, and this is a huge kill because it allows for Team Spirit to now start firing back and taking over this top lane area. They need this tower to fall. And meanwhile, this is the response you see from PSG LGD. They rotate their heroes mid to try to force Spirit away from the top tower and force them to come defend their mid tower as the more valuable tower for the later Roshan.
Got that hitting these timings, PSG LGD, no doubt about it. Spirit just having to let them do so.
Has fallen.
Yeah, I mean, this Lycan really has becoming the big X factor. I expected him to be this strong out of the laning phase. And now Am is going to comfortably move into his triangle and start farming up. I think once he hits that Diffusal Blade, look to see Spirit trying to, LGD trying to make some move. But I think if LGD gets to farm up right now, they feel like they've hit their enough, they have enough map space to where they're comfortable playing around their cooldowns. The Disruptor ultimate to come online. Wait.
I mean, in this sort of game where, you know, both teams playing as carefully as they are, do you look at the Naga Siren and this Naga Siren will be able to carry out in the later stages, or do PSG LGD always have the means to deal with her?
I think to some extent you are happy, but I feel like you wanted the laning phase to go better so that LGD's timings come later into the game. So knowing that your lanes haven't quite gone the way you wanted them to, they must feel like, okay, at some point now, once LGD gets items, they're going to come running at us.
Look at this shot, nothing to say. He's going to get the lead in onto Collapse. He'll drop the Static Storm as well, putting no chance of Collapse being able to return fire quite yet with a potential Ravage. Doesn't matter though, he's able to walk out to the side. They'll go for the glimpse back on him. He'll simply look for the TP out, and there's nothing to put a stop to it. Collapse, realizing his strength with a Hood of Defiance, he's got enough tank ability out of it all. That's the Rolling Thunder and the Static Storm put to waste there by PSG LGD.
Since the mind there from Collapse, knowing exactly how to play his situation out and get out safely. I love what LGD are doing though. If you take a look at the top lane, this is one of the things I loved about how OG ran the Wisp into position 3. They recognize that Wisp's item timings are really important for you to keep these heroes alive. Because if you think about how healing works in Dota, heroes keep growing their hero pool, like health pools, but the healing items are static amounts of heals. So 250 health on a hero that has 1000 HP is like a lot more. That really enables you, and they've given Xingqiu the top lane to sit here and farm comfortably.
See that bottom. Wying, quite a dangerous position here. Inside the jungle of Team Spirit in Toronto, Tokyo will be quick to put a stop to it.
Naga Siren also closing in on the Mantla, and by the looks of it, she's going to get that item before Ursa even completes his Diffusal Blade. So Yatora's probably very happy in this game, feeling comfortable with how it's going right now.
And when you look at sort of what they have against it, do you feel that a lot of the map is pretty safe for this Naga Siren to farm in? As long as the Song and the TP's up, will he get away most of the time?
I mean, most likely. I think the tricky thing here, if you're LGD, is how do we deal with the illusions? How do we deal with the Naga putting illusions in our jungle that will scout out our movement and force us to play away from Roshan? Because as Dyer here, Notail and Seb also very touched on this a lot. The Ursa wants Aegis. This is his most key item, especially when you're going up against big cooldowns like Ravage, like Finger, Earth Splitter. You know these long cooldowns, people don't want to use them on your Aegis, so it's going to be important for him to get it. And the Naga, as long as he's able to play top and put illusions in the top Dyer jungle, it's really hard. Like, what are you going to do? Because their heroes don't have ways to effectively kill the illusions.
And you feel that Spirit, their lineup, is geared up pretty well to deal with the fact that PSG LGD will look for the Roshan. They won't be afraid of turning up and trying to put a stop to it.
I mean, I think that's where the information game is going to be important. Can Spirit actually use the vision that they're getting to fight off LGD's timing? Because I think that is like the big question mark. Is the Ursa going to be too strong for you to kill? Or is it enough to just sleep away half the fight duration and then try to fight them afterwards?
I think we're definitely going to see Yatoro start to increase the lead against Arme. Bottom lane, White. He'll drop the Static Storm, trying to save himself, but collapsing. Maposhka will run him down, take him out. Faith Beyond, he's looking to get involved in this with the back of a nothing to say, being brought over by Jinkyu. They will get Maposhka. Can the three of them get collapsed? They're trying to commit their best onto him. They will leave the two cores behind it. Jinkyu trying to let nothing to say and Faith Beyond finish the job, but they just can't. The damage isn't there. Toronto Tokyo was also starting to sweep over, so PSG they have to back up and just accept the trade as it is, the support.
Yeah, and Collapse now knowing that, you know what, they can't actually kill me without the Ursa. It's only the Ursa that can threaten my life. Just comfortably sits bottom alone, pushes out the waves, gaining as much farm as he can. And in the meanwhile, Yatoro just pushes out top lane, farming out all these top jungle camps. If you take a look at the Dire jungle, there are no camps alive.
I mean, Yatoro's farm, he is creeping further and further ahead of Arme's Ursa. You know, if there's not going to be any blood being spilt and it is just the creeps dying, this Naga Siren is just going to charge ahead in regards to farm. Yatoro is going to be huge.
Yeah, and he's going for a very interesting build. He's buying the Aghanim Scepter, and the Aghanim Scepter allows him to use his Ensnare on heroes that are either slept by his ulti or spell immune. So this will give them a way to deal with BKBs. And traditionally, the way you deal with, for example, a Tidehunter Ravage is by buying a BKB. Or in this case, you have the Pangolier with Rolling Thunder. So he's actually going to be able to lock down the Pangolier during his Rolling Thunder with his net. It's a very, very smart item decision here from the Naga.
A very long lockdown and reduced cooldown and increased cast range. He's going to have no trouble finding the target that he wishes every single team fight.
Yeah, LGD also heavily reliant on the Pangolier for the lockdown, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see him use it, specifically just to make sure the Pango...
And I guess sort of the smart approach deals with this timing where and certainly one of the crucial parts of PSG LGD's initiation, it's shut down completely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for Spirit, that's the name of the game, right? Can we drag this game on? And literally slowing him down during his roll, forcing his timing to be unable to be used, is just exactly what Spirit are looking for in this game. But yeah, we're starting to see items gear up on LGD's side. If you take a look at the Lycan, his timing is really going to be the big thing. But I think Spirit have won the early game in that there's no Roshan killed yet. And that means the second Roshan is going to spawn slower, and that's no Aghanim Shard for Ursa for the first half hour of the game.
I mean, if you're PSG LGD right now, what sort of calls are you making? Are you looking at an item that's round the corner and then saying we've got to go? Do they need to go right now? How urgent do they need to be?
I think they looks like they're gearing up to look for an opportunity, right? You finished up the Helm of the Overlord. The Ursa now has his Diffusal Blade. Your Wisp is closing in on mech. You already have the Holy Locket. So there's a lot of nice tools for LGD to take a straight up team fight if Team Spirit presented to them.
Yeah, mate. Gonna start with a bit of a tickle onto Toronto Tokyo. The Remnant quick jump out with the steps, nothing to say, he's trying to close in. Look at him with the swashbuckler, the Bronx and the Maelstrom, nearly bringing him down, but Toronto Tokyo gets away on as low HP as he is. Collapse also able to TP out, as there's nothing else to stop his escape. Team Spirit, they're able to avoid the move completely by PSG LGD once again.
Yeah, and they didn't even have to involve the Naga, so during all of this time, Yatoro's farm, he's 2,000 gold ahead of the Ursa already.
Oh my, this is going to be a problem.
Control. He's only, I believe he just finished his Aghanim Scepter too. So he has Manta and Aghanim Scepter at 17 minutes into the game.
Tournament performance of Spirit top lane setups there with the net. That's the mid gone, nothing to say. Going down Yatoro, instant Song TP as he knows the response will be there from PSG LGD. Gets out, they cannot catch him. Yatoro will continue to farm.
It's a really important kill, but by forcing the Naga Siren to TP out, LGD now have the option of potentially taking back control of their jungle. So this is going to be their objective for the next minute. As you see, they're going to try to contest this Tidehunter. They know the Naga Siren is not present.
See what they can do about Collapse. Jungle ready enough to disrupt it. Look at the burst. Collapse, he's holding on to the Ravage for now. Static Storm's down. Collapse gets himself out of the side of the Ravage. Onto the two, and then they blow up Arme. It's 3 dead on the moment on PSG LGD. I am also caught out. GQ to fall.
That's absolutely massive.
My goodness.
Team Spirit's so aware of everything. They know that this is what LGD wants to do. The Naga TP'd out, they're going to come contest us. They position their heroes perfectly. You see the kinetic field come out, but there's no Static Storm to follow because you have the Lion in position to interrupt that. It's just Spirit are playing so well right now. They're just recognizing where LGD's timings are.
It just seems like already, just in the first 18 minutes of the grand finals, Team Spirit, they're just completely in the heads of PSG. wanted to play, it's just not happening. They're crumbling, they're falling apart, and you do not know or see how on earth PSG LGD is going to stop this man this game.
He's getting out of control, and if you look at the Lycan, you can see he decided to not go for the Aghanims. He's going for drums. They're gearing up for a quicker timing in this game. I think the mechanism comes out on XinQ. They get the BKB finished up on Ame, and they're going to look for some sort of team fight. But the way that Team Spirit are abusing the vision, if you take a look at the map, like, there are almost no dire wards anywhere. Radiant are in firm control of where the vision is. Controlling the vision, they have more information to play with, and this is what's allowing Team Spirit to constantly be reading LG and how they're moving around the map.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Bottom. Toronto Tokyo, they'll show his face, but not worried about any catch from PSG LGD. They just don't have the members around. Space is made, the tier 2 tower going down at the top lane. There won't be any defense from PSG LGD here as Spirit just continue to hit timings, take the objectives at a pace that PSG LGD's lineup will be incredibly jealous of. This is and it's happening the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. Finish up some key items though. You see the Pangolier now has a Blink Dagger, so they have an easier form of initiation rather than just trying to run at them with a roll. So if Team Spirit heroes start getting cocky and playing alone, there is a way for LGD to respond and punish. Very close to this mechanism on the Wisp as well. It's just 100 gold away, and this really is the Wisp's big timing. You have both the Holy Locket and the mech to heal up the Ursa, and Ursa's closing in on BKB, so I'm smelling a fight in the waters. Owen.
Yeah, the next one, it's got to be strong from PSG LGD. Another rough fight, and this game could quickly fall out of control.
Yeah, and as strong as a Naga Siren is when she's playing this kind of map game and she's able to get the pickoffs, she isn't the strongest hero to fight up against the Ursa. So if you think about how these heroes function against each other, the Naga can't really fight up against the Ursa straight up. So if LGD is able to corner Team Spirit and they can take a fight where it's just a straight up 5v5 with the BKB and the mechanism finished, that could be an amazing timing for them. But Spirit don't want to allow that, so they're deciding to smoke up and make the move on their own first.
Let's see if they catch PSG whilst they least expect it. BKB is out for Ame.
Dire's
Yeah, let's start things off. They'll go for Y. Take the Disruptor out of the action.
And Disruptor is a really key kill, because if the Disruptor isn't alive in the fight, they can't really go for Collapse. But look at Collapse's itemization. This is so smart. He's going for the Yules together with a Hood and a Blink Dagger. And why is this interesting? Because if you're inside of a Static Storm, and you Yule yourself, and you have the Hood up, and there's no physical damage to hit you, you can actually just blink straight out of it. So just really, really smart item decisions coming out of Collapse here.
Well, we'll definitely have to look out for that play. Would be a rather impressive outpost, taken back into the hands of Spirit. And keeping full control around this area, this Roshan, as you say, which is just sort of it's a long-distant dream, it seems, for PSG LGD. They're never getting anywhere close to this pit until they're able to find the fight that they've been hunting for the whole 22 minutes of this game. They'll smoke up now, ready to go. PSG LGD, they have to find success here.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you take a quick look at Lycan before the fight breaks out, he's decided not to go for the wolf fight. They recognize that they won't be able to play the strat the way they intended for it to. So he's going to be building up some damage items as well.
Smoke. We'll dispel here on Toronto Tokyo. Same to be set for PSG LGD. They know that both teams are waiting here up to the side of the river. And now, Ame, he's going to sneak into the Roche, start to try and take it out of here.
Yeah, for the first time in this game, they've been allowed back to Dire Jungle and try to apply some pressure to Roche. So I expect Team Spirit also recognize that, you know what, we've given up the Dire Jungle, what would LGD do with it? They would go to Roshan, so...
Let's Spirit check this out. Ame looking to burst through the air, he raises the ball into the hands of Ame. Ame's able to get the Roche kill, get the Aegis. They get the Static Storm down, the Rolling Thunder is one in control, Toronto Tokyo, but he's out with an Astral Step. Toronto Tokyo actually makes it out of there, Dissimulate as well. PSG LGD may have got the Roche, they may have got the Aegis. Toronto Tokyo will still go down as Fate Beyond was able to wrap around and find him.
Yeah, really nice play there from LGD. What an unfortunate event there for XinQ. He gets pulled into the Roche pit. You really want to stay outside with a tether, but stay tethered to Ame, but he takes one step too close, and then the Wisp comes inside the Roche pit, which gives Spirit perfect opportunity there to go in, but I don't think they were quite expecting to be